Good morning. This is Stephen Carter here at NDC Sydney for SSW TV, and I'm here today with Lars Klint, and we're talking all things HoloLens.
Indeed.
And beyond.
Yeah.
So welcome, Lars.
Thanks, Steve.
This is the HoloLens device.
It is.
Could you tell us a little bit about it?
I can. I mean, so I'm assuming right now that no one here that listening or watching actually knows what this does. So I'll just, I'll dumb it down a bit. It's an augmented reality device for all intents and purposes, but it's a specific type of augmentation called mixed reality. So normally you have virtual reality, which is a fully enclosed digital world that's removed from the real world.
Yep.
That's your HTC Vive, your Oculus Rift, your PlayStation VR, those sort of experiences. Then you have your augmentation, which is usually through a mobile device. So your augmented reality would be some app on a device that will do something on your real world through the phone.
Okay.
And then you have the HoloLens, which kind of gets the best of both worlds, because you can see the real world, and it actually maps the real world as well. So it knows where chairs are, where walls are, where ceilings are, where the floor and couches and all that.
Yep.
And you can then get your digital assets to interact with the physical world. And that sounds pretty technical, right? But as an example, say I had this table here and I had it mapped with the HoloLens device, and I put a holographic ball, so a digital ball on the table. If I tip the table, the ball's going to fall off, right? There's this interaction between real and digital.
And that's what really sets HoloLens apart from other devices that are on the market, AR
It definitely
devices.
is, yeah. There are no devices right now that will do what this does in the same way.
Awesome. So I met you 12 months ago here at NDC Sydney, and I came along to your talk before you had a device.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
That really sparked my interest in HoloLens.
That's good.
Yeah, look, I'm just loving working with it. So in that 12 months, what discoveries have you made now that you've got a physical device?
Yeah, so as you said, I started out being so intrigued by the whole technology that I didn't even have a device when I did my first talk. Well, the first like 6 talks. And I just kept spruiking it. And then eventually I got a device. And the main thing that I noticed, from what I remember, right when I put it on, is that you get this very limited field of view. So when you see marketing material for the device, you see things on the wall and over here on the floor, and it might be in an aquarium or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But the actual experience is that you get this sort of very narrow letterbox view. And that was, to me, that was kind of a downer, but it took about half an hour and you kind of, okay, you get used to it, right? So from there, I was kind of prepared for the device to be more of a prototype dev type device. So I was probably more accepting of it, of the flaws that it has.
Yeah.
But one of the things that usually catches people out that I've found through my journey is that because it maps the real world, you expect it to be almost real-time mapping of the real world.
Yes.
So, which it isn't. And I would imagine this is due to battery constraints and CPU power and all that sort of stuff. But there is a lag of when it updates the spatial mapping. So it does update it over time as you move about and it rescans parts of the room.
Yeah.
But you can get this ghosting effect.
I've experienced that myself.
Yeah. So if a person walks by, right,
that's the
and
one.
it happens to map when they walk by, suddenly there's a ghost of a person there in the map. Right?
Yeah.
So there's little things like that you get used to and you kind of know that are there that you have to cater for. But the flip side, which is much more positive, is that there's so much interest in it, especially when you demo it to people.
Yes.
People just don't know what it is. Like even the most technical people, even from Microsoft, their own staff, may not have tried it, and they don't understand fully what it does. And this sort of light bulb moment that people get when they try it, that's just worth it all.
It's so powerful, isn't it?
It is. It's fantastic.
To demonstrate a couple of applications to them, and then they have that aha.
Yeah, exactly.
We could do this in our industry.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's amazing to watch.
Yep.
So 12 months ago, we were looking at the origami sample application.
Yep.
So since then, what other sorts of things have you been working with development-wise?
So I've been mainly in the sort of educational space. So I did online video courses, and I've done workshops, and I've got training sessions for companies and those sort of things. And I tend to build relatively simple experiences with whatever's in Unity, right? So you use the asset store to, say it was for a pharmaceutical company where I did one workshop, you'd import like pill bottles and or manufacturing equipment or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
And you then use that in the educational process. The appetite right now to actually build finished products is, let's say on the low side. So you're still in this phase of promoting the thing and saying, hey, this is what it does, and putting the idea in people's heads, showing them how easy the development cycle really is, because it's daunting when you see it, and it's really not hard to develop for. Like, to get going is really not difficult. So that's been more my journey, more so than building the product.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we talked through like some of the things that you found disappointing, but they didn't hit you so hard because it was a developer version.
Yeah.
So in the next release of HoloLens, what would you like to see included in that?
I think it'll have to be a bit more rugged. So I don't know if it might not come across on camera, but some of it is a little bit flimsy. Like, you don't want to drop this, because you feel like it is going to break. So a bit more rugged, a bit more sturdy, maybe. The comfort of it is okay, but I don't think you would want to wear it for a whole day, which also leads you to battery life. The couple hours of battery life, perfect for development, it's fine. But if you have someone like say a floor manager in a factory, using it all the time, CPU intensive, it's not going to last, right? Yeah. So I think those challenges are probably needed to be addressed.
Yeah. So one of the workarounds I've found with the battery life when doing demonstrations for a full day is I've got a battery pack.
Yep.
And
you
stick
can
that in the back
that.
pocket of someone, so that gets around that. But yeah, as you say, the comfort of it with the weight. After I find after an hour that I really need to have a break before I get back into it again.
Definitely.
Cool. What do you love about HoloLens?
I think it's showing it to people. Yeah. I think it's still my favorite, is that idea of people going in with maybe the expectation that it'll be a VR experience, or it'll be, I've used my iPhone to, get this T-shirt to come to life, or whatever it might be, as an augmented thing. Getting to the point of them playing a game like Fragments, which is still one of my favorite mixed reality experiences. It's just absolutely amazing. Where you're a memory detective and you can see other people's memories that come in as fragments, and they sit on the ceiling. Suddenly the ceiling is open, like the hole in the ceiling, and rain's coming in. Wow. There's an extra window on the wall you look out through, because you can walk and it's perspective, like you have that parallax effect. Yeah, like it's just so well done. Getting people to try that and just be immersed in this mixed reality world, because they still see the real furniture, and the holographic character comes and sits next to them on the couch. Like, it's just mind-blowing. I love that part of it. It's just, there's nothing like it. And I think with the next generations, and when they become more accessible, the devices, I think this is going to be pushed way further.
Great. So what do you think the top use cases for HoloLens are right now? Right now.
So it's funny you should say it, because I just mentioned a game, right? And when I do my demo, usually in talks, like kind of, show people what mixed reality is, I use a game as well, another one called RoboRaid. But I don't actually think it's a gaming device. Yeah. I really don't think it is a gaming device. I think this has probably sort of four main segments: the education, engineering or manufacturing. It'll be research and scientists, like academic use. Yeah. Not education in the sense of showing students, but research and development from university side of things. Okay. And then something like the automotive industry, I think. Like, I've just seen so many examples of it, and I've spoken to people that have crash repair shops or insurance companies, and they can just see real value in it, because it can. It's a really good example that I've seen is a YouTube showcase video. There's a elevator company called ThyssenKrupp.
Ah, yes, yeah. in Germany.
In Germany, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. And they have this demo where they build elevators for disabled people. So it goes up your stairs, you can sit on it and go up your stairs if you can't climb the stairs yourself. Yes. And with the HoloLens app they built, and the little special measuring, like a stick that they can use for pinpointing more accurate measurements, they measure the staircase, they build it as a hologram, the actual elevator, they show it to the client on a tablet and say, hey, this is what it's going to look like. They can show it in, in real time. This is exactly what you're going to get. They can do changes there. And when that's all, fitted and to spec like the client want, they send it to manufacturing. And that's it.
It's amazing to be able to do that rather than the old measuring tape and the notebook.
Oh, and you get it and doesn't fit, and you got to go back and you go, it's just
exactly.
So stuff like that has a real world application. It's not just showcase. Wow, this is going to benefit someone's life.
Yeah. So that whole prototyping cycle is massively reduced. One of the other early video demonstrations I saw was of a motorcycle fuel tank and fairing being designed in Maya AutoCAD.
Yep.
And he takes that, puts it on the HoloLens and applies it to the physical frame of that motorcycle and walks around it. So rather than the old way, you send it off, get a prototype built, wait for it to come back, fit it and go, oh no, that's not quite right, change your design, and it massively reduces that.
It even beats the
cycle
3D printing prototyping, right?
Yeah.
Because you go straight to the correct size and then you might 3D print it and whatever. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Exactly.
It really makes a difference.
ThyssenKrupp also have another application for their lift and escalator maintenance, where a tech walks up to a lift and the maintenance history for that lift gets augmented into his environment, and he starts working. There's instructional videos, there's also a live, almost like Skype type call back to a senior technician, so you can do that sort of remote diagnosis as well if you get stuck, rather than waiting for someone to come out. And having your hands free at the same time, so being able to use the voice commands and not the gestures, opens up a massive market.
Oh, it does, absolutely, and it's there's a competing product, which right now I can't remember what it's called, but it's a much more rugged version, essentially, with a big helmet on it that's meant for manufacturing. And I think if we get to that, it's not the Meta, it's I can't remember what it's called, but we can look it up. It's white. It looks like a safety helmet with a visor type thing. And I think if we get to that point of having those sort of more rugged devices for those applications, it's going to take off much more. Because I had a question around the HoloLens if it was essentially explosion proof. So are there static electricity coming off it? Can you take it into an environment where there are gases and stuff? And of course it isn't. It's a prototype. And that limits it to a lot of manufacturing plants, unfortunately. So I think it really gets addressed as an enterprise device more than a consumer device. I think there's a big market there as well that will open up.
Awesome. So we've been using Unity to do our development for HoloLens. So prior to HoloLens coming along, had you done any work in Unity before?
Not really. I'd looked at it. It's a Danish product, so I kind of went, I'm Danish, I should look, and it looks fun, and but not really. Like it would be a Friday night, go through a tutorial and build a simple game or something. Yeah. But it's daunting though. Like I tell people usually in workshops as well, okay, here's Unity. If you've never seen it before, relax, just ignore everything. I'll show you the bits you need because there's so much in Unity. There's so many properties and features, and it's a bit like opening up Visual Studio for the first time, right? Don't try and learn everything at once. Yeah. Just use the bits you need right now, and then everything will follow.
Yeah, as you say, it can be quite daunting. You drop objects onto your scene and prefabs, and you click on those, and then in the properties panel, there's like, oh wow, and then you can add even more components to those
Scroll
properties.
Through them and it is. But I think it's a good tool though. I can understand that, you don't have to use Unity to build HoloLens apps, but you kind of you will sit and rock in the corner probably if you don't. Like it gives you so many benefits, and it is so heavily integrated now in the development process that it's like you can't start with anything but Unity unless you have a very specific purpose. Yeah. So I can understand why they've done it.
Yeah, look, I've been using it now for about 12 months since I first came and saw your talk, and as you say, that was a bit daunting to start with, but Now I understand sort of the basics of it. It's quite quick. I know how to set everything up.
Yep.
And of course with Holo Toolkit, that's making, or what's that?
Mixed
thing?
Reality Toolkit,
That's
because
the
of
one.
course they changed the name. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it so much easier
It does.
to set up your project settings and your scene settings and camera settings and so on and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I find I'm quite comfortable now, even in my presentation here at NDC, of being able to go through and set up the project in Unity and
definitely,
and get something that runs.
Yeah.
Whereas, previously, you could be pretty sure that something was going to go wrong.
And it's debugging is interesting because you can now have this connection between Visual Studio and Unity. So what you produce on this is a Windows 10 app, right? So you get a UWP app, and you can then bring that into Visual Studio and keep working on it, or you can have extra projects that sits with it and all these sort of things. But you can then also debug from Visual Studio into Unity. So you get this whole back and forwards flow, and that can be quite confusing also because of the way the projects are structured. But yeah, it all takes time.
It's a little bit unusual in that if you want to edit a script, you double click on it, open up Visual Studio, and you can edit that script. But then when you build,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's a completely different looking project.
Yeah, but it's named the same.
Yes, which is handy.
It's very handy. So there are some quirks, but it's very approachable, I'd say.
Yeah.
And of course, all the tooling is free, so you can just go and play with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we briefly touched on the asset store just before as well. So what sort of things have you discovered in the Unity Asset Store?
I've found like tin soldiers, like a whole range of them.
Yeah.
That you quite detailed models. So the asset store, for those that don't know, it's kind of like your NuGet packages for Unity. Like you can go and find, I need a lemon, material or something, like, I need a hazard sign or whatever it might be, and you can search for that in the asset store, and you can get any kind of asset. Some of them is just a model, some of them comes with behaviors, some of them is a whole scene. It comes in all sorts of flavors and varieties. Some are free, some are paid. Some get updated all the time and new things. Some don't. Like it's quite an organic thing.
Yeah, it's quite amazing, and so much of it is free too, which is great.
It is. It's really easy to get started.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem paying for good models because I appreciate how hard that is to do.
Yes.
But it is nice if you're just building a prototype for something. Hey, I'm just going to try this thing out, and you just grab like a free something.
Yeah.
That is really handy.
Yeah, I was looking at the complexity of it. I had the opportunity to present to the Brisbane Game Technology Group earlier in the year, and then I stayed on for the next presentation, which was about building up a character model.
Oh, nice.
And all the animations, and my God, I had no idea how much work goes into it.
It is.
And these developers, they spend months on perfecting a model and getting it to work efficiently in the gaming engine, and it's so polished what they do.
Absolutely.
So as you say, I have no problems paying for a good model because I have so much better appreciation for how much effort these guys put into it.
Yeah, it is a lot, and it's a world I just don't understand.
No.
It's just such a whole different part of it. It's a bit like being if you're a web developer, chances are you might not be very good at design, and if you're a web designer, chances are you might not be very good at web development, right? It's kind of like being really good at both is really hard. Yeah. And it's a bit the same here, being a HoloLens developer and a 3D modeler is really hard.
Yes.
Like you usually don't find people that do both.
Yeah. There's some really distinct skill sets that you need to bring in for a high quality HoloLens project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's been great chatting with you, Lars. Can we see whether the audience has any questions that they'd like to pose?
No questions.
No questions.
Right,
I think we've covered it all.
Well, I do want to just touch on this, because where are we going to go from here, right? So we've been sitting here looking at this the whole time. So this is also a mixed reality headset. It's from Acer, because that's what it says. It says Windows 10 because it runs Windows 10. But it's very different in the sense that this is much more like a VR experience. So there's on the HoloLens, there's a see-through visor, and and the holograms are projected on these waveguides that sit in front of your eyes. This is not. This is a virtual reality experience, but it has these little cameras on the front, which are the same cameras that sit on the HoloLens, and it maps your environment in the same way. It creates a 3D model, which is then projected into the VR experience, which is why it's mixed reality.
Okay.
Yeah. So you see a VR experience, so you don't see the real world, but you see a 3D model of whatever's been mapped in the real world.
Yeah.
And because of that, you can use the same approach for building apps, and you can have apps that run on the HoloLens can potentially also run on this. This is still obviously a developer kit. This is the next generation of devices.
Okay.
Two main differences. That's $3,000 US. This is $400. It's a huge difference.
That's massive.
And this is tethered. Right. This comes with a cord, so you have to plug it into a reasonably powerful gaming PC type thing. Like the graphics card on the PC needs to be quite good.
Yeah.
So it's a different style of device. You know, this has everything on board, computing and everything. This does not. So, but it's much more approachable in price.
Yeah, the $400 price tag makes it a lot more attractive to everyday developers.
Yeah.
So we'll be using the same approach to develop an application for that?
Yep. Yeah,
Unity, Visual Studio, Windows Holographic, SDK.
Yep. All the same tooling.
Okay.
And it runs on the Windows 10 mixed reality platform.
Yeah.
Is what it's called. But the good thing is that it's someone else building it, so someone else has taken up. So this one is Acer. There will be devices. There's one you can buy right now from HP. There's one coming from Lenovo, one from Dell, and probably a range of others as well. So that becomes a much more broader segment.
Yeah.
But it's also more of a consumer device, possibly. I mean, you could use this in offices as well, but it's certainly not a manufacturing kind of environment, right?
Yeah, it's not something you want to walk around
with
on your head.
Unless you've got a backpack PC,
That's one possibility.
Yeah. But it's interesting that it's the next generation of devices.
Yeah. So what immediately comes to mind with a device like the Acer is that it's way more accessible for developers.
Yes.
And so potentially we'll see a lot more HoloLens applications come onto the market.
I would have thought so.
Yeah.
That's certainly my hope and my prediction, because you can develop apps without a HoloLens, which is what we both did initially when we started. We didn't have a HoloLens.
Yeah.
But it's just, you get probably 95% of the way there, right? You're just missing that real important last element of having the device to try it on for real.
Yes.
And you get that now with this. Right?
Yeah.
So hopefully there'll be more uptake in it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, well, I'd love to give it a try sometime. I'm not sure I've got a graphics card that's powerful enough.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the trade-off for sure.
Yeah, I might have to get hold of a gaming PC from somewhere and give it a try one day.
Exactly. Who in the office is a gamer? Hey. So.
Oh, that should be easy to track down. Yeah. Well, once again, I think we've covered it all. Thanks so much for coming in today and and chatting with us.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to catch up with you again, Lars, and I look forward to following what you do over the next 12 months.
Steve, absolutely.
It's been awesome. So I'm Stephen Carter. This has been for SSW TV at NDC Sydney. Thanks for watching.